We've got a signing to talk about on today's show as the Broncos are reinforcing their offensive line, signing offensive lineman Calvin Throckmorton. What an all-time name right there for a lineman. So, Mike Kliss, the first one to break down the news. We're going to react to this. We'll give you all the information you need to know about the newest member of your Denver Broncos. But really quickly, any signing equals a video for you. So join over 21,000 strong we have here. We're closing in on 21.1 thousand subscribers. If you want a channel that's going to keep you up to date on every single signing, this is the channel for you. Now let's get to know Calvin Throckmorton, all-time name right there. So he was a UDFA back in 2020 out of Oregon. And surprise, surprise, you already know where this is going. He signed with Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints and is now reuniting with his old offensive line coach, Zach Strief, and his old head coach, Sean Payton. Now, back in 2021, he started 14 games for New Orleans, playing primarily on the interior offensive line. Go back to his days at Oregon, though. He did play a lot of right tackle, so a lot of versatility to his game. Now, last year in 2023, he played 7 games for the Panthers, started 7 games. Then he was waived in November, ended up going to the Titans, where he would play in 2 games for Tennessee. So he hopped around a little bit last year. The Titans wanted to bring him back, but ultimately he chose to go play for his old offensive line coach, Zach Strief, and his old head coach, Sean Payton. So here's what Denver's offensive line looks like now, with Throckmorton being added to the mix. He doesn't take over Powers or Miners' starting job, but I do think he comes in with some competition to be that first guy off the bench for the interior offensive line, right? Who's going to step in if Ben Powers or Quinn Miners goes down? We love Belly, but he has had injuries throughout his career, so it's good for Denver to have some level of backup plan in place just in case one of those interior offensive linemen go down. Now, in my eyes, this is a camp competition. It's a 1-year deal, according to Kliss. Haven't seen the money yet. My guess is it'll be about 1 year, $1.1, $1.2 million. So he's going to come in and likely compete with the rookie and a UDFA and maybe another free agent signing that comes over the next few weeks for one of those 4 to 5 backup offensive line positions, with the focus being on the interior offensive line. So he's no shoo-in to make the roster or anything like that, but we do know Sean Payton loves his guys, and, well, here's another one coming back to play for him. Now, historically, he has not been very good. If you just want to go off PFF, which I don't think is the only way you should measure players, but it's definitely a good way. Last year, his PFF overall grade was 47.9. Not good. I view PFF grades as take school grades and then plus 10. And that's what you're getting in your school grade, right? So if you have a 70 PFF grade, I add 10 to that, it's 80. It's a B minus in school. You got a 47.9 in your class, you got a 57.9, you're still failing. So here's how his overall 2023 breakdown looks. He ranked 65th out of 79 qualifying guards in football last year between Tennessee and Carolina, where he played. Better pass blocker than run blocker, 564 snaps. Did not give up a sack, but was penalized twice. So now Calvin Throckmorton joins an elite and growing fraternity of players to make the great migration from New Orleans to Denver. Not everyone made the Broncos roster, but everyone had a shot. Tony Jones, Dwayne Washington, Marquez Callaway, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Jordan Jackson, Adam Troutman, Chris Manhertz, both kickers, Will Lutz and Brett Maher. We had to put them together because we were running out of space on screen once they signed Calvin Throckmorton. And then most recently in free agency, before Throckmorton, you had Malcolm Roach coming over on the defensive line. So how would you grade the Broncos' offensive line? As we talk about the pigs up front, A, B, C, D, or F. For me, I would give this offensive line a B+. I don't think it's an A because I don't know if you really have a true, Quinn Miners, I think, is the best pound-for-pound guy on that O-line, especially when you take into account what he's getting paid. But you do have a little bit of a question mark at right tackle. Mike McGlinchey, this mass overpay. It sure looks like it, but can you at least live up to, 75-80% of his contract. Similar for Ben Powers, where you moved on from Dalton Reisner, and I felt like you got worse guard play out of Powers last season. So they've got some good pieces on that offensive line, but Quinn Minor's definitely the best of the bunch, the highest ceiling, the most ascending player on that team. And now Throckmorton joins them to add some insurance just in case an injury pops up on that offensive line. Now, we're going to talk about the Denver Broncos offseason in more detail, so don't go anywhere. But really quickly, today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Spring is here, which means we've got some baseball here, along with playoff basketball and hockey around the corner, and you should not have to miss any of the action because of ticket prices. With Game Time, you can get killer last-minute deals and all-in prices for all the big events. What I love about Game Time, it gives you a view of your seat before you purchase your ticket, so there are no surprises when you show up. Plus, hidden fees suck, but Game Time gives you an all-in price option, so you really know how much the tickets are going to cost. So download the Game Time app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. It's the best place to find last-minute seats. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. And after the play the Rockies left fielder made today, they may have to offer you even more than $20 if you want to go watch that team play in person. So create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports when you redeem that code for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So let's talk a little bit about Denver's just offseason in general. Now that we have another signing in the books, joining the most recent one beforehand, which was Josh Reynolds at wide receiver. The Broncos have made a handful of additions and re-signings since free agency opened up. You have Michael Burton, Josh Reynolds, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Adam Trotman. So 3 re-signings right there alone, along with 3 new faces and Josh Reynolds, who you can kind of look at as they moved on from Jeudy. They got a 5th and a 6th, and they replaced him with Josh Reynolds, who had 300 fewer yards. Is Josh Reynolds better than Jeudy? No, he's not. Josh Reynolds plus a 5th and a 6th going to get you pretty close to what you got out of Jeudy, plus $12.9 million in cap savings. You're not going to be dramatically far off. I still think you're coming up a bit short, but maybe if you hit on those 5th and 6th, it looks a lot better in a few years. And then to round up the rest of the free agent class here, Malcolm Roach, Cody Barton, Justin Stranad, Brandon Jones, all on the defensive side. Jones getting the biggest contract of anyone so far. 3 years, $20 million in an effort to replace Justin Simmons. And then Will Lutz on a 2-year, $8.4 million contract. I know that after last offseason, myself included, a lot of us were like, ooh, there might be some big signings coming Denver's way. The Walton Penner Group loves to open up the, checkbook. Not all that surprised that Denver has not been big spenders so far, right? If you go back to my videos before free agency started, I definitely said to pump the brakes on Denver being big spenders like they were last year. One, whether they were in cap hell or not with the dead cap hit from Russell Wilson and whatnot, they were likely not going to be big spenders in back-to-back off seasons because that's just simply not how free agency works, right? If you spend a lot in one off season, well, you're spending to fill void and holes you have on your team so that the next off season, you don't have to spend all that money again. And so for that reason, I'm not surprised that Denver has not been, a bit of a Hoover flag type of team this offseason. But when you look at their offseason in totality, they acquired a 5th and a 6th for Jerry Jeudy. They also saved about $27.5 million in cap space by moving on from Jeudy and Justin Simmons. So we're talking big cap savings and draft capital coming over. But they have not been big spenders, right? 29th in total spending. That includes signings, extensions, and waivers at $67.7 million in total. So towards the bottom of the league. The number one, by the way, the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be fun for a Titans fan right now. They often are a bit of a quieter team in the offseason, but some big moves going down in Nashville. All right, with that being said, we're going to wrap up the show by going through our last few reasons to be optimistic for 2024. For reaching 21,000 subscribers, we did 21 reasons to be optimistic. The countdown is on. And at number 6, I've got Marvin Mims' breakout season. We saw some great offensive production from him early last year, and then great special teams production throughout all of last season. The recent rule changes are only going to make Marvin Mims a more valuable player on this team. I think we're going to see a big season out of the former OU Sooner. Reason number 5, you're back in round 1. Have not been in round 1 since you took Patrick Surtain, 9th overall back in 2021, sat out the first day of the draft the last 2 years, and all of a sudden Denver has a 12th overall pick again, which they really need to make count. They could potentially move up, they could move back. All options are on the table right now for the Broncos, but it's fun to be back in round 1. There's just no doubt about it. And now, reason number 4, sneaky belief in Drew Sanders. I was thinking about this. He was so good coming out of Arkansas. He showed such versatility as an off-ball and an on-ball linebacker. Why can't we get some good play out of Sanders? We're just going to write him off after 1 year as a rookie? I want to believe that there is still some football and, some good football to be untapped under Drew Sanders. So I've got a sneaky belief that Drew Sanders can be a playmaker for this defense. Now, with all that being said, let me toss this question your way to wrap up the show. Over or under 8.5 wins for the Broncos in 2024? They went 8-9 last season. Can they add an extra win, or will they fall short? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Well, that will do it for us on this edition of the Broncos Breakdown. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you all later.